All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get started here. I want to thank you for putting a priority on this. Thank you for coming. And I think everyone here cares about children and their safety. And we just want to get better at doing what's right and what's good. And being together as a team is going to be very important, okay? Functioning together on the same page is going to be, it just helps. So we do have kind of a screening process. We do a background check for one. And I've heard not every argument. I've heard a lot of excuses why people, I don't want to do a background check, it's none of the government's, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I'm just here to tell you, if someone refuses to do a background check, they can't work with children in the church. For liability purposes, but it's just, we need to have that check and balance as well. So it's just very wise for us to have that background check. So if that's not something someone's willing to do, that automatically disqualifies them. If it's somebody that we don't know, if they're new, we will do some type of interview. We will have some. We'll ask for some references, maybe references from a previous church or friends that you have. But it's very important for us to do due diligence when we're having people help with children. So that's part of it, and we have procedures in place that we're going to talk about, but we're not going to go over a certain portion here today when we talk specifically about abuse. Okay? We have a course that we like every person that's going to be helping with children to take online. It's about 15 minutes, right, Sue?
Yes.
About 15 minutes, and there's some follow-up. There's a little quiz at the end of it. We're not after perfect scores. We're after the fact that you understand some of the dangers that are out there that ministries face, but that face children. And so we can hopefully stop those things, and if they occur, and be ready for them. And so we do have what we call a check-in and a check-out process for VBS. For Sunday school, we take attendance every Sunday. And it's just something that we feel we need to do. So we know who's here on a given Sunday, and so if there was a problem, we can go back to just make sure that they were here and they were accounted for. But during the VBS, there is a check-in and check-out process. It's not perfect. As I was talking with Melissa, the check-out process seems to be crazy. We're working on that, okay? But follow the process as we have it. Even if it's not perfect, follow it. If you have a suggestion, share it, but don't just do it. Don't change it. We need to be on the same page. And I'm sure as the years go by, we want to get better at this. Okay, but don't just take it on yourself and say, well, I think my way's better, I'm going to do it my way. That doesn't help. Okay, so we want to have some unity there. So there is a check-in process and a check-out process. Let's follow it and be attentive. Their name tags, the kids and adults wear their lanterns there, and so just wear them. If something happens, you come and you don't have one, Sisu, she's bailed a few of us out. Okay? And I just live next door, so. But anyhow, it's very important that we participate in that. Like I said, we do take attendance. If you see something, the saying, if you see something, say something. The idea of, somebody else might catch it, or, if you see something, say something. Share it with somebody. Now, for the church, if you see something that's disturbing, Terry Russell's the guy to talk to at the church. If it's VBS, if there's something going on, I want you to see Sue. And then Sue, from there, she'll know who to contact, who to talk to. If there's an event or a situation, there's a problem that comes up, you'll see one of those two. If it's at church, Terry. If it's at VBS, it'll be Sue. And then from there, there'll be an incident report. And then usually he cheers for me. I was just going to say, he takes after his grandma. On the other side. All right. We'll fill out an incident report, and then the incident report will be shared with the elders, and someone will sign off on that. If there's an injury incident at VBS, Doreen is our VBS nurse. Okay, she's going to be down in crafts, so we'll know where she's at all the time. But yeah, that might cost us. So if there's something, we have first aid kits throughout the church, and so we'll just know. But see Noreen, we'll get word to her, and then Doreen, and then she can help us out there. If parents need to be contacted, if there's something that happens, someone's hurt, Sue can take care of that. If there's something where parents don't need to be contacted, but a situation happens, again, Sue can share that with the parent afterwards. If something happens, and let's say it's not a major thing, it's not a major owie or bigger, we still want the parents to know. We don't want the kids to go home and tell mom and dad what happened, and they say, well, why didn't someone share that with me? So let's just make sure, if you're a leader and something happens, just document it, share it with Sue, and then Sue can track down the parent afterwards. You'll want to be sure that they're getting picked up by their parents correctly. We don't want you to get distracted from making sure that they get connected with parents afterwards. That makes sense? So, and if something happens at church, that's Terry and his group. So when it comes to that area, the safety team has their protocol, and Terry takes care of that here at church. So, and then before we start VBS, Terry's going to try to map out as clear as possible for us an evacuation plan if we have to evacuate. Okay? Now we've been through the Alice training, but it's going to be different with VBS because kids are going to be in all different areas. So if something happens, he's going to have some type of evacuation plan of where we meet if something happens that we have to evacuate the church, or if there's a tornado, the process of getting people down in the basement. So that'll be that. When it comes to challenges, and we have them every year. One of the kids, man, they have a bad day, or they're just wound tighter than a drum, and a couple of kids might feed off each other. And what we're going to do. One thing that we have to do is we have to de-escalate situations. Here's just a must in this process. When trying to de-escalate, don't grab, don't put our hands on any of the kids. Okay? Don't yell at the kids. As frustrating as it can be, we're used to, parents or grandparents, you're kind of used to telling your grandchildren or child, hey, we don't do that. And, if they give you the business, well, you got a phone call that you can make real quick. Some of the responses that you may get from the kids will not be appropriate. They may tell you and share a few words with you that, your kids wouldn't share that with you. They wouldn't say that to you. But they're not our kids in that sense. They're God's kids, and we have to be very careful with them, okay? And they may say things that are not appropriate, but don't lose it on them. Be calm. And so what we're going to have in the teaching sessions, the game time session, we're going to have floaters. We're going to call them floaters, where there'll be a person in the lesson time. If there's someone that's making a disturbance, that floater can, just quietly have the child just step aside. Don't go out of sight of another adult. We'll work it with, if a floater has to have a child come out, somebody will go with that person. But they will work at de-escalating and just trying to reinforce the importance of listening and allowing other kids to listen. And so we just want to be careful in that area. And again, by the end of the week, how you feeling? Yeah. And what happens when we feel exhausted? Yeah, we get a little irritable. And the last thing we want is just a smart aleck child, or they're going to ruin it for everybody else. And we just have to be careful. Be cheerful. Smile a lot, okay? Be cheerful. And you guys do that. But let's just keep each other encouraged and each other in check. So I think it's important that we set a great atmosphere. All right, so we have the 2 adult rule. All right? We need 2 adults at all times in a group. Now, if a potty-trained child goes to the bathroom, 2 people walk together. I know, doesn't this sound crazy? But it's how we have to do it. 2 people will walk the child to the bathroom. The child will go into the bathroom, take care of business, and come back out, and you'll walk the child back to the room. It just has to be that way. Now, we don't ever want a leader and a child alone. Bad look. We just can't do that. All right. So the 2 adult rule, and again we've had adults. We've had an adult and an older teen that's been together. But I think it's important. 2 people. We have to adhere to that 2-person rule. Now, again, this stuff you know, but we just need to talk about it. Avoid having children sit on your lap. Okay, now when you're in the 2 and 3s and the ladies, you sometimes that just needs to happen for encouragement and just focus and comfort. But avoid children sitting on your lap. Also, avoid hugging kids. That's hard. That is so hard. Now, so what if you're standing there and all of a sudden a child comes up and hugs you? What do you do? Let them hug you and say, "Hey, you know, how you doing?" And then do a high five, do a fist pump. So good to see you. Just, I think that's the safest way to do it. And I know it just sounds so opposite, and it is. But that's the age in which we live. We have to be very careful. So we don't have to like it, but we just have to be safe. Yeah. And again, nowadays, kids aren't as apt to hug as they used to, because some of this is coming from parents on their behavior as well. And so just keep that in mind. All right. Again, anything with the safety procedures in the church, Terry and his safety team, they have their protocol that they follow. If you're providing transportation for a non-family member, 2-adult rule. Please don't take a child home, give them a ride by yourself. If needed, we'll arrange it. Talk to Sue. We'll arrange somebody to go with you. If they're your family, that's different. But a non-family member, 2-adult rule. Okay? It just has to be that way. And I remember some of you people did the same thing. You picked up kids, a van full of kids, and you're all by yourself, and you dropped them off, you picked them up, and we just can't do it that way anymore. It's just not an option. So let's be very careful with the 2-adult rule when it comes to transporting children to VBS and back home. Let's not allow children to isolate themselves. So what happens, and we watch it every year, you'll get a couple of the older kids, maybe a couple of 5th graders, a couple of 6th graders, and they'll want to, just go off and be cool by themselves. We can't allow that. We just can't allow kids to go and isolate themselves and be off away from the group. And we just need to be cheerful and creative and bring them back. Have them come back and join the rest of the group. And that goes for an adult or a child. Don't be by yourself with a child. Let's say this is cool, and this happens. All of a sudden, the child hears the message, and they want to talk to somebody about trusting Jesus. Well, we want a double blessing. We want 2 adults there to hear it and to share. Even something as exciting as that, it can't be one-on-one. So you just know that going in, and some of this may not pertain to where you're going to be, Sarah. So, but again, it pertains here. We just have to be very careful. Now, for adults, when things are, it's fun to be with other adults, but just let's be wise. Like Solomon says, there's a time to and there's a time not to. And while things are happening, let's be focused on the kids. Let's not be off, doing our own visiting and catching up on each other's activities and each other's families. We're here for a purpose, and let's fulfill that purpose. Let's be focused, and it's great to serve the Lord with friends, but we're here for the main purpose is for these children and for their safety and for their well-being and for them to have an atmosphere where they can hear the gospel. Let's just be very aware of that. All right. So if a child shares something about abuse, say something. You may not have the answers. You don't have to have the answers. Just let Sue know what was said, and Sue will go from there. She'll know who to contact. If a child has visible bruises or wounds, say something. Again, you don't have to have the answers. You're not the one that has to deal with it. Just share it. And most of the time, there's probably a very logical explanation for Johnny having bruises all over him. And but sometimes it's not so obvious. So that's something that just be aware. If you see inappropriate behavior between two children, say something. You can stop it. You can say, hey, but say something, and then just pass it on to Sue. Sue, this is what happened, and I stopped it. So we shouldn't have fights at VBS, right? And if you hear inappropriate language, say something. You don't have to address the student yourself. We'll help with that area, but we don't want kids saying stuff that they shouldn't be, and talking in ways that they shouldn't be talking. Now, if you see inappropriate behavior between an adult and a child, say something. Again, you don't have to solve it, but share, because I'll tell you, most of the time that child is going to go home and they're going to share their side of it. Well, this is what happened, and we're blindsided. We didn't even know something happened. So share it, so we know, and so we know how to deal with it. So I would much rather, when the parent comes, just say, hey, this is what happened, and Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so, I had to say to your Susie, hey, slow down, no running, or say, just what was said, or the action that we took. I'd much rather we take that initiative and share it with them, because if they go home and they share their side, guess what? What we have to say will be less believable. Okay, so and then if there's an adult, and let's help keep each other in check this way. Just if there's someone's forgetting and we don't do that. Okay, thanks for the reminder. I'm not, none of us are wearing a badge and we're going to police everything. We want to help each other. We want it to be effective. We want it to be safe. We want to keep each other out of any kind of accusation or situation. So let's help each other with that. But if you hear inappropriate conversations from adults, say something. We don't want that. Sometimes adults can start yucking it up a little bit, and they might be saying some things that maybe aren't really quite so funny, and especially for young ears to hear. Isn't it amazing what kids hear? What they should hear and what they do hear. It is so we really need to be very careful on what we say in earshot of the kids. And it's, hey, clean humor is fun, but again, there's a time and there's not a time where we want to stay focused. So Sue is going to put back. Some have not done their child safety online. You know, where it talks about abuse. She's going to put that back on, and for those that haven't taken it, please get that done. Take it, finish it, so everything's done.
Is that just a one-time? Once you've done it, that's
right?
Okay.
And we'll probably
And that's on the website. After I do the background check and you're approved, it will automatically kick out to you.
Right.
But it will not say it's from First Baptist Church.
Okay.
It'll let you know that a child training safety video is available for you to watch, and when you click on it, it'll automatically take you there.
Thank you.
and then you'll automatically get the
I
result.
automatically get the certificate from it, so I know who has and who hasn't.
So it's something that we'll probably do every couple of years, but we definitely want to get together at least once a year as a group just to go over these things. Okay? Yes, it's to check a box legally. We want to check that box, but you know, as a church, we just want to do the best job that we can in ministering to children.
Now, the background checks we're going to do every year.
Yes, background checks are every year, and again, it's just that's just the way it is. It has to be that way. So, and it's expensive, but it's worth it. I mean, it is worth
doesn't cost
it.
anybody here
Nope.
anything. The church covers it.
Yep, it's yeah. When you think of 40, 50 people, 40, 50 background checks every year, it adds up. But that's how much it means to us. So it's worth doing that. All right, I want to open it up to comments or questions.
Well, I don't want this to cross the wrong way. It's all the not is what we shouldn't do. Maybe we need to know what we should do to show these kids the love of Christ, because, in my opinion, touching a kid's shoulder is not offensive. And the thing is that I think they need that touch. Not necessarily anyplace else, but the shoulder. So maybe I'm wrong.
Yep.
But
I'm going to tell you, no, just don't do it. Just don't do it.
but why?
Fist pump or a high
Well,
five,
that's true.
because you're keeping a distance, and that's enough. That's a touch. But again, and when you talk to, and I like that question, because when we talk to a kid, maybe they're small, bend down if you can, so you can look them in the eye. It's things like eye contact, a smile, a cheerful attitude, a cheerful welcome. You know, that high five, that fist pump. But I think we have to be careful. Just that normal, how we would treat our kids and grandkids. It can't be the place. VBS can't be. And I know that just sounds harsh, but I'm telling you.
It's not really harsh. It's difficult, at least.
Sure it is.
Because you're accustomed to doing it.
Yep.
I'm not used to fist bumps.
Yep.
Fist bumps.
Practice with pride.
Okay. Yes.
When I drove school bus, I did that for 25 years. And we could hug those kids anytime, and as the years progressed, we got to what Lloyd is saying, and it no longer could be, because you can't believe what kids can come up with. And there are parents who are that do not walk with the Lord, don't know him, and they put out lawsuits, you know. And as much as I broke my heart, because I love kids, was very hard because we were taught the same thing. If they come approach you and throw their arms around you, you were not to do it back. Now, a couple times I did, I couldn't help it. It takes a while to, but for the safety of the church and yourself and the kid, we need to listen to what he is saying.
I agree. I don't disagree.
Yeah,
I'm just
so
saying.
there's a situation that just happened in the news where there was a disagreement, and the person reached out and they touched the other person and said, "Hey, kind of shot him, killed him." He put his hands on him, and he's now it's self-defense. That's how warped. Those were two adults, but again, I think there are parents that are telling their kids, "Hey, someone puts their hands on you, you don't." And so we have to be really careful.
I agree. All I'm saying is tell us how to do it.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, just again, try and get on there, but be cheerful. Engage them in conversation on what their day was like or whatever. But we can show compassion and acceptance with our words and our expression, and we just have to be the best at that as we can be. So, yes.
How many kids do we usually have? How many kids in a group, and what does that usually look like?
Well, we had over 60 last year,
Okay.
and especially when at the end of the session, it gets crazy when parents are coming in and kids have all been wound up, and you're trying to get everyone out of the building in a orderly, if that's possible.
How many kids are usually in a group?
Well, it depends on the age group.
Okay.
I think, what was the largest age group last year?
20, I think.
20? Was that the 5th and 6th grade? Yeah. So.
So when you were talking about the security and security team and such, is it going to be set this year where there's going to be a certain people doing security every night, so then the leaders and volunteers know who it is, so then when there is an issue that occurs, you know exactly who the security team is, who you go to, and also some part of the security team kind of wandering around a little more than previous years?
That's the goal.
Okay. Just
We
making
have
sure.
radios now, so there'll be radios available for each area. And the guys that'll be on, whoever volunteers, which I haven't figured out who's going to volunteer yet, or we've all been told anyway. They're going to have radios, so the communication will be key, and you should be able to.
Good question. Yes.
Do we have a date yet?
Yes.
We do. I think it's the.
June 8th, I think.
I'll tell you in a second. I'm going to look at the calendar. It's the 8th,
8th through the 12th. It's Sunday through Thursday.
It's the 8th through the 12th. And it'll be 6 o'clock at night till 8:30.
Western theme.
Western thing.
The 2-person bathroom rule, is it possible to have either some people designated to take kiddos to the bathroom or extra people? Because we leave, if a leader and a team go, then it leaves a leader with all the kids.
Well, I'll put it this way. I would rather someone that the kids are getting accustomed to knowing take them, and then maybe someone step in for you as you leave. Then all of a sudden,
But as long as
two people that they haven't met yet.
Lloyd, could we have the older people do memory verses with the kids. If we, after that's done, position some of them to the key areas, and then when somebody does have to go to the bathroom, a senior can go with one of the individuals in that group, so that way there is two, but it leaves more with the kids.
Yeah.
If they'd be willing, because they hang around anyways all night.
Okay. Yep. Yep.
When you were saying about like the child's causing an issue and like one of our floaters, it might be even better to have the floater join in with the large group and let one of the leaders, like you're saying, who has already built a relationship, pull them aside, because they might respond better to somebody who's built a relationship with them.
That's a possibility too. It's just, it just has to be important that the person responds well to the child.
Because those people are flipping out.
So sometimes it being a different person brings a little more gravity to the, like, uh-oh, maybe I crossed the line or something. That's why I thought of the floater idea, just because
Principals come into the building.
a little bit like that, you know, good cop, bad cop type of thing. But again, you just want to make sure that it's an appropriate response, and you're just trying to get that child to stop and think. That's all. And one of the things that we could do is, especially with the older group, you know, they tend to be a little more sassy, a little more have assigned seating. You know, you kind of evaluate it the first night and say, okay, those two should not be next to each other. Just, you know, say, hey, tonight, and you could mix it up, but you know, we're going to go alphabetically tonight, or today we're going to go by, you know, the months of the year. We can be creative, but we can separate some of the kids that tend to feed off each other. Anything else? Okay. Now, Sue.
Can I ask anybody that hasn't filled out a background check yet? I've got some here that I'd like to pass out.
Yeah, should we turn the camera? Oh, we have one down here. A couple down here.
About the background check, if we have them done at work and it's current, can I just have it sent over to you guys so you don't have to pay for another one, or does it have to be through you guys?
It has to be through us.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for our liability
I was just trying to
purposes.
save some money.
Yeah, thank you. Yep.
We don't know.
Yeah, I don't think anyone under 18 needs to do a background check. It's 18 or above. I don't think just the driver's license is required. I think 18 or above. They might not even be in the system. Okay. Is there any other questions?
Those are background checks.
Yes. I'll have you do that right now. Okay. Doreen is going to share about CPR. Okay?
So I've been drafted to teach a friends and family CPR class, and I need to kind of get an idea of how many we'll have so I can order additional books. I've got 15 books ordered, but I still need some kind of an idea on how many we'll have and order additional books. So
You want to show hands or you need a sign-up sheet?
I think we'll do a sign-up sheet.
Yeah.
Might be easier.
Ideally, I want to have all the guys that are on security tables. So I think there's a lot of it.
If you haven't had a CPR class in the last couple of years, it'd probably be good for you to do that.
And that, you know, everybody knows that we've bought an AED as well, and we will incorporate that into that class. I have to get some mannequins I'm going to borrow them from the hospital, and they have AEDs that we can physically put on, because that's a live unit, of course. But the ones are just practice units that I can get from the hospital.
Dwayne volunteered to try out the new one.
Yeah, he'll put it on anybody, won't you, Dwayne?
So if within the next couple weeks I can get a good idea of how many we're going to have, and get some books ordered. Okay? Thanks.
Any other comments?
I would just say, it sounds like we need lots of volunteers on
Yeah.
board for VBS, lots, with all the precautions we're taking,
Yep.
so.
And really, the more we have, the better it is. Because you have eyes, you have people around. When you have lots of people, lots of volunteers, it just covers so many different areas. Was there someone else that had a question? All right. I know this is kind of basic 101 stuff, but hey, it's back to the basics.
Something you have to think about too is when, like, for the transportation stuff, because like my kids are involved in senior patrol. If you have like a male and female, like if you have boys and girls in a vehicle, you should have a male and a female driving them as well, because if for some reason
Right.
like the girl needs to go, you need to stop and go to the bathroom, you can't have a guy taking the girl to the bathroom. Those are other precautions that you do have to take.
And again, that's something. If you're in a predicament, talk to Sue before you go. We can find somebody. If it's a man or a woman, we'll find somebody to go, just so we meet that criteria. Okay.
And I don't know if maybe, people like to get out of here, but if you could have some kind of short debriefing every night. And, this is what's going on with this group, and it might be that idea.
So that might be something. Maybe you could have a comment, by something, a question or something that could be written down, because it is going to get crazy and it does get long. But if they have a way of communicating with you, hey, this was a problem tonight. We need to, what can we do about it? And then that can
make cards up and stick them with the leaders, and then maybe have them sitting around the church a little bit, and then maybe having a box or something for everybody to slip them in that we can check each night.
and even a text message.
I think everybody has my
Yep.
phone number, so you can shoot me a text at any time through the night.
So maybe better than a debrief would be if people could be here early enough to.
Yeah, that would be the ideal. Would just be here as early as possible, and that way you can do a little bit of that discussion work. Bill?
And maybe if you have those comment cards,
Yep.
you can bring that information out.
From the day's work. Yep.
So, filling out cards is not a debrief.
Correct, but it's a way to get the
Meeting the next day beforehand.
would be better.
That would be better.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
That's not a debrief.
Yep.
Because it's the interaction of the whole that makes it debrief.
Right.
Yep.
So that's the encouragement. You come early enough to where discussions can take place.
So what if Sue just sets a time for all of us that volunteer? We know that it's that week. You can accommodate your schedules accordingly, and just say everybody needs to be here at 5:15, 5:20 for a debrief, and then pray over the thing for the night, and then you're good to go. Just make it like, hey, if you're volunteering, you got to be here at this time. Obviously, traffic happens in life,
Yep.
but just make it. This is how it is, and we all know ahead of time when it is.
Yep.
But even if you're not going to use the comment cards, just write it down, because you forget details.
Yep.
Right.
Or shoot a text.
Who was in the room?
Yep.
Or, yeah.
Yeah, and then that can be talked about the next day.
Will there be any other meetings for specifically BBS before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I don't have them set up yet.
So watch the bulletin.
I'm hoping this week to jump in and really break things down and
a sign up for yourself, if it's possible.
I think I'm gonna reach out, text messages to everybody, and then put it out in the announcements next week to anybody that hasn't volunteered yet, that would like to volunteer, to get them involved.
All right. Craig, would you dismiss us in prayer?
Our gracious Lord and Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to minister to our community, specifically to the young people. Lord, pray that we do all things honor and glorify you. Lord, as we take these precautions, we know that all things are in your hands. Pray that your Spirit will touch young hearts, turn their minds towards you. May we be everybody here that as we volunteer, it's for you and for the children and not for anything within ourselves. And thank you for our time to fellowship and commune and talk about these things, and Lord, just to get excited about this, and young hearts can be touched. Lord, thank you. Pray your blessing over everybody, and as they go forth today, and just spend the rest of their Sunday honoring and glorifying you. And we are not God, that we get our rest to be ready for the week. We meet again next week in your precious name.
Thanks, Craig. Thank you, and we can leave the tables and chairs up for Easter